D.C. Council recently heard testimony from people who support autonomous vehicles and people who oppose it. They look to draft legislation about commercial self-driving vehicles operating here in the district. As I said, there have been many people on both sides of it. I covered the story about 2 weeks ago, as did my colleague, Tom Fitzgerald. But I want to bring into the conversation now a business owner who has a very unique take on this. Joining us now is Anwar Saleem. He is the executive director of H Street Main Street. He recently testified before the council in support of this bill. Thanks for being with us this morning on You're On with Maureen Ume. Welcome to the show.
All right, thank you.
So you did testify before council this morning in support of the bill. Why do you believe this is the right time for Washington to embrace autonomous vehicles?
I believe in support of autonomous vehicles because I see them as basically new technology. I see them as an economic development tool, and basically throughout my career, starting at the Transit Authority, DC Transit Authority, as a bus cleaner, to leading H Street Main Street, I have seen how transportation shapes jobs, businesses, neighborhoods. And if we do this thing correctly, I believe autonomous vehicles can create opportunity for Washington residents while improving mobility and supporting local businesses.
So how would autonomous vehicles look different from what we're seeing on the streets right now in terms of public transportation, et cetera?
I believe that autonomous vehicles can basically service more neighborhoods in an equitable manner. Just like I believe if you look at years ago, you look at, the ships, basically trains, basically buses, the way we used to see them and the way we see them to a certain degree now. Autonomous vehicles are serving a new technology, a new way of moving people around. You don't have to have people who basically discriminate neighborhoods. And I think that's important that anytime that you in a neighborhood, 5 o'clock in the morning or late at night, and you're trying to move, you have less vehicles going into these neighborhoods, and people kind of discriminate to a certain degree because they feel unsafe. I think it's a more safe tool to move people around.
So let's talk about the safety aspect. I was going to move to that later, but the safety aspect, you're talking about in terms of just personal safety, getting into a car and moving around. But there are people who are concerned about, well, there is no driver there. The technology simply is not where we think it needs to be for me, and I'm just using me as just a frame, to feel safe in an autonomous car. What do you say to that?
Well, I've been in an autonomous car. I was in Phoenix, and I drove. My grandbaby is in Atlanta, and she drives autonomous cars all the time, the Waymo. And she feels very safe. She'd rather be in an autonomous car in Atlanta. She's in school versus someone else. She feels safe. And I believe innovation should reach every neighborhood when it comes to safety. Transportation and safety it should remain a priority. Basically support testing and oversight, accountability, and transparency. I believe that innovation and safety aren't just competing goals. They should we should have a way to move the safety and transportation forward together when it comes to safety. So we have to really figure this out.
Okay.
It's incremental. Anytime you deal with something like this, it's really incremental. And I think we'll get there.
Okay, so let's talk about the jobs aspect. I mean, there are people who are saying, well, we have driverless cars. You're not now taking jobs away from people who could be drivers. What do you say to that? You're someone who is in the business community. You've helped small businesses grow. How do you frame that argument then in support of autonomous vehicles?
Every new industry creates new careers. And the question is not whether jobs will change, but whether DC residents are prepared to basically meet those changes. I think that's important. I support training in fleet operations, vehicle maintenance, robotics, AI, software, diagnostics, charging infrastructure, cybersecurity, logistics. These things that you can basically rely on when it comes to this new technology. We shouldn't just import this technology. We should prepare Washington residents to build careers around it together. And I think this is an opportunity. I have a summer program.
Right.
I have a summer program, and I train youth in basically AI and robotics, give them an introduction to it. And I think this is the way of the future. And we have to train our residents for the future.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the summer program you do have. We're looking at some pictures and some video that you sent. How does this fit in? Tell me about the background, how you launched this program, what it aims to do.
Well, I did it years ago. Basically, we have youth from different neighborhoods, and we started off with peer mediation, customer service, financial literacy, and then we have a week worth of those trainings, and then we start every day off with mindfulness and yoga. Basically to get children to understand that they can have differences. They have to work together. And you maybe from different neighborhoods, but you have to control your attitude and all the rest. And this is important even when it comes to the job market. Then when it comes to training for robotics, these youth learn, they get tools that everything is scattered, and they have a schematic to put the robots together. And then after they put the robots together, they have to code these robots. So they not only put them together, they see how things work, they see how they have to code and how they have to move these robots around. We're doing everything from power dogs to the cars to drones. And these kids are doing a great job of putting this together.
Now, you have a background with Metro, so I'm wondering how you made the leap from that to now you're mentoring kids and getting them into AI and robotics and putting this kind of program together. Talk to me about how that leap was made.
I was a child of the Jetsons and Dick Tracy and all the rest, and I believe that they talked about the future back then, and I believe in the future. And we have to take on the future. We can't run away from it. And I think that this technology, even as a bus cleaner, I started off as a bus cleaner. I wasn't trained to a certain degree. I never went to school to be a bus cleaner. I learned on the job. I fixed cars in front of my house when you could do it. I had a 65 and a half Mustang, and people told me I couldn't put it together. I put together a new engine, and I started at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock at night. I was driving that car down the street. And I think that with that type of motivation, innovation, you could do the same thing. As a Metro bus cleaner, I was a helper for a while, and I was able to get my hands on a diesel mechanic book. I studied that book. I didn't go to school. And when time came for the test, I passed the exam. And the next thing I know, I was on the floor as a mechanic, being trained as a mechanic, and I retired as a mechanic, and I think the same thing can happen. So you have these high-level jobs that can take place, and you have the lower skill jobs that people can work into where they can really take care of their families, buy homes and buy cars and live the American dream.
So let me ask you about the program. Is it one program, or do you have it in various parts of the district? Is it only in the district? Tell me more about that in that vein.
I have one program. One program is the Mayor Summer Youth Employment Program.
Okay.
Through SYEP. Mine started many years ago. And I've been doing this program for many years. And I've have good kids who come from the neighborhoods, various parts of D.C. And I've had some really stars to come out this program. You look at Sharif Abdul Malik, he owned the largest online purchasing program for African Americans in the country, WeBuyBlack.com, now known as LASPRA. And I have Roger Carruth, who came to us as a youth. We gave him his first job, and now he's a champion NASCAR driver. So these type of skills. Not only that, we trained the kids in artificial intelligence, and we started that about 3 years ago, and we created 200 pieces of art for the Arts Percentage program with DGS. And we showed youth how to study artists and how to take on those artists and create their own artwork. And with that, we prepared kids and gave them, they earned more money in creating 200 pieces of artwork to go on two of the district shelters. We also showed them how to sell their art online.
Yeah.
And the kids doing well, how to create jobs for themselves. And so last year we had Roger Cruz to come in. He was a youth with us. And he came back and he spoke to the youth. We had AI and motorsports. So we started off with AI and art. Last year was AI and motorsports. This year is AI and technology.
And so are these children, are they recruited? What's the age range that you're having in these programs?
The age range is from 14 to 18. And we have some that's 18 to 22 who serve as assistants. But these kids come to the Marbury Youth Program. We list what we're going to do. And they sign up for the program. They look at their interests and they sign up for the program. So most of the people who come to us, they're interested in what they're doing. There's something they're interested in. So it's easier for us to train them in their interests.
I love how one conversation could lead to another. We started talking about AVs and the legislation in D.C., and here we're talking about this youth program that I didn't know a lot about, but I'm glad you are sharing with us. Is it something you can go online and sign up and give people exactly the name of it and how they can get involved should they be interested in getting to know more?
It's a Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute program, and what we did, we called it A Street Mayor's at Manbury Summer Youth Program. And you can go online and sign up through Department of Employment Services, or you can always call us at www.astreet.org and send us a message if you're interested, and we'll connect you with the program. So there's something to take place every summer. I don't take a summer vacation, and I give it back to youth every year. And the thing is, I look at this program this year, as something that's really connected to the technology that Waymo is going through,
Yeah.
that these same kids may be interested in a technology field. They may be interested in being employed by Waymo. So the thing is, we have to prepare them now for what's going to happen tomorrow. So if they have an interest now, they get their hands involved in it. The next thing you know, they're working behind some computers or something at the Waymo site or at the front desk because of that interest. So our whole thing now is to inspire our youth now. A job market is changing, and we have to be prepared for it. We have to prepare our youth for it.
Indeed, we do. I love the story of hope that we are talking about this morning, because oftentimes we hear so much about youth, especially in D.C., the teen takeovers. We hear about the violence that they're involved in. But here's a program giving them a leg up and really propelling them to the future. I think it's so important what you're doing here in D.C.
Well, this is what we want to do. I think it should be duplicated, and we want to do more of it. I would love to do it after school if I could. If I can do this program after school, we have the teachers and who are willing to do it. And so it's something that we really want to do. And I would like to, again, partner with Waymo to really take it even further. So this is a technology or opportunity where we can partner in the long term. And so we're taking the lead on it, and I want to take advantage of it for our youth.
Have you had any discussion with Waymo or anyone else about this yet, or is this still a wish list, hoping to get their attention?
I have. I have. They're interested, and they're willing to partner with us. I think it's a good opportunity. It's a great opportunity.
Well, it certainly
is. And that's why we had our kids. That's why we had our youth going to the site.
Yeah.
And Waymo will be on 8th Street. I think even for the 8th Street Festival, we're trying to get them down so we can have more exposure to what's going on. We have to create that opportunity. If somebody come in like this, that we have to create an opportunity for them to, for DC to be that experiential market.
Yeah.
And I think this is the time for it.
Well, it certainly is an interesting dynamic to the conversation we're having. Here we started again with the D.C. Hearing testimony legislation to allow AVs on city streets. And here we now delve into how something like this can help the youth and give them a future that some of them may have never thought about. Anwar Saleem, Executive Director of 8th Street, Main Street. It's been a great conversation. I'm glad we were able to have it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning and really opening a lot of eyes to what the possibilities can be with AVs in D.C. and beyond.
All right, thank you.
All right. And this is You're On with Maureen Ume. We're going to take a short break and come back with our next guest.